Hey everyone, Cary here with Ask Kolat, presented by RUDIS. Hey, if you got any questions or comments, leave them at the bottom. Hey, I just finished like 19 days of camp at Campbell University between our intensive and our prospect and our technique camp. And, you know, I got a question from a coach there. He was there watching his guys, and he asked me how I structured practice. Well, it's kind of broad, right? Depends on the season where you're at. Preseason, middle of the season, into the season, you're trying to peak your guys the right way. And so we talked for a while. It was easy. We were, you know, sitting there in the stands and just conversing, and so, you know, if I give you like a simple, you know, blueprint, let's just say it's a preseason training situation, you know, so you're going to have that conditioning phase, maybe you're going to have some of that live wrestling phase, you're going to have that technique phase, you're going to have that warm up. So the first, you know, step for me is I have like a series of things we do offensively in our warm up, defensively in our warm up, top, bottom. You know, we've got to warm up. We're looking for just ways to pin a guy from the takedown. You know, so I have these skill areas that we incorporate. And what I do that for is, instead of just coming in the room and, you know, let's just say we have a 2-hour block of time, and instead of coming in the room watching my guys jog for, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, we may jog for 3 or 4, hit our tumbles. We do our stretching as we start our drill. You know, so my guys, you know, I come in and I don't have to reinforce it because we do so many reps throughout the year. If it's a defensive warm-up day, we're going to start with down blocking with our head. Then that leads into like down blocking and arm dragging and spinning on the guy. And what we're not doing is killing each other's body. We stress it. We want to be light. We want to be fast. We want to be moving. And we call it low-impact drilling. We're not crushing each other just yet because we're in the warm-up part. And then we'll do that for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll stretch. And then we'll get into down blocking and sprawling on a double, and maybe 2 or 3 minutes and stretch. And then high C, shoving the head inside and sprawling and spinning. And again, 2 to 3 minutes of different partner stretches. In on a shot, in on a shoulder, you know, cement jobs, twisting each other's neck, just getting loose. And so instead of me watching and wasting time, you know, we have a 30-minute block of warm-up. But actually what we're doing is we're getting reps and common positions, you know, in our sport. And like I said, you can sit down and design these warm-ups. You can come up with, you know, 10 different warm-ups that you feel like these are critical areas on our feet. You know, I mean, if it's an offense, it's, hey, you know, inside fake, hit your single, inside fake, hit your double, inside fake, hit your high crotch. You know, that is a warm-up for you. And you might have to teach that early in the year, you know, especially if you got high school kids and things like that. You might have to, you know, hit those details. But, you know, at the college level, you know, we've got these areas of where we need a lot of repetition, a lot of muscle memory. So that's how I do my warm-up. And then, you know, we might slide into that technique phase. So if I'm running a college room, I can say, okay, we're working single legs today. We're going to spend the majority of our time just in that single leg position, you know, for that training session. Obviously, I'm working with different guys, you know, and I'm going to cover 3 to 4 areas. You know, because these guys can handle it. But then we'll also add, hey, everything doesn't go as planned, and we tend to let those guys go off and start working in different scrambles that come up as well if it's a technique phase. If I'm running a high school room or, you know, and you got different skill levels, you know, it's important that you don't jump too much, man. You stay in a single leg area. You show 2 to 3 solid finishes max. Get a lot of reps there. Increase the volume of the reps when you feel they have the position before you start moving anywhere else. And again, I might just spend a whole session on that, and then, you know, you come back the next day, that's something you can reinforce in the warm-up, and then you can start adding that second technique in that technique phase of your training session. And then again, if I'm looking at a preseason training situation, we're not into a ton of live just yet. We're just going to start capitalizing now and getting some of that conditioning in practice, not just at the end. So I'm going to move these guys into a more combative drill where it's, okay, we're down blocking, we're stopping a shot, and the guy pops, and then we're finding our single, and we're finishing on the mat. And, you know, we're shooting, missing our first and our second shot, and we're getting to our single on the third shot, and we're finishing it high on this one. You know, we're going through overtime scenarios where we don't want to be on the mat. We want to have really solid fundamentals. We don't want scrambles to happen, and we're going to pick this guy up off the mat and sweep his foot and finish that single leg. And then obviously you can move into your conditioning phase at the end, and that conditioning phase, you know, be whatever you need. You obviously want to mix it up. You don't want to just sprint your guys every day. It can be a combination of just cardio or a combination of body fatigue and cardio. You know, incorporate some drilling in it. But that's my structure, and I've always said this for years, that the warm-up phase of practice is such a waste of time that coaches aren't incorporating skill sets where you get out of that mode of just running all the time and tumbling. We run for 4 or 5 minutes, and then we are in contact with each other, and we're still not killing each other, and we're stretching in the process of, whether it's shadow move, get to the single, shadow move, get to the double, and it could be offense, defense, top, bottom, areas that you feel are fundamental. And maybe you have 3 or 4 in each category, and you'll see as the course of the year, your guys are going to get better at those drills, get better at those reps, and those are going to be common positions they're in. And you're not wasting time in a 30-minute warm-up just watching guys lay around and talk. You're getting it going and getting them fired up. So that's a simple structure for me in a preseason training situation. Obviously, as the season unfolds, you make adjustments, and sometimes you just come in and say, hey, man, it's 30 minutes where we're going to play a game here for a little bit, and then we're going to get going, and you always got to be mindful of that, where your guys are, because if they're not happy and they're not smiling, you start to notice that drag. Some guys go the opposite. They mentally just get upset with their team, and they start, hammering them even harder. Sometimes you got to back off a little bit and get the morale back up in the room, and then you can go back, because then they can appreciate that you respect them a little bit, and you're not just trying to run them into the ground, because no man wants to just be running the ground by another guy. But again, I appreciate your time. Talk to you all next week.